baby, and we're picking up right where we left off. Jeez, my brain is like scrambled eggs. So we have Dark Song with us now. She has some information about this demon's tooth that we need to get. She gave us this little journal bookie thing that Maidnir is scouring over. We're gonna continue our journey. Hopefully she can help us out and isn't like scheming. Alright, demon tooth. Doors once opened. One night while traveling north towards Haljingsur, the Keen Wolf is assailed by an unwelcome guest. Oh, it's either a saber-tooth cat demon, or it's the people that we stole stuff from, or we didn't actually even steal it. Well, we did. We stole the little journal thing, but that wasn't us. That was Dark Song. We did break in, though, illegally. So it's either them people. It's either them people coming after us, or, I don't know, sea monster? Doors once opened. Maidnir, that's a bold choice. Are you sure? I'm always sure. Next to you, Maidnir and Swafnilde play a dice game you have never seen before. You've been trying to pay attention, suspecting the day will come when you might not want to play yourself. But you're distracted and restless and uneasy. You keep losing focus at key moments, and as neither Maidnir nor Swafnilde are explaining their choices, you've lost track of them. Around you, the deck is fairly busy. It's a calm and quiet night, and the Keen Wolf is anchored until sunrise. That way, the Keen Wolf won't accidentally crash into the Isle of Manrik, the southernmost of the Old Stone Islands you're making for. Many of the crew are out trying to enjoy an evening's rest with singing and chatter. They have been brought up kegs of mead and ale traded at Haljingsur. Even the newest crewmate is on deck, perched cross-legged on a box by the bulkhead by herself. She's focused on her woodwork again, still whittling away at the model's general shape. I wonder, like, if she really, like, I don't know. Maybe she's working with us because she's just not sure. Like, I feel like if she knows more, she has to give us the information so we can succeed. Like, and do we actually have the same, like, want? Like, do we have the same want? Do we have the same way of going about this? I have so many questions. Estrid 2 is about starting... Oh my god. Estrid 2 is about staring out into the Western Ocean from the railing, lost in some thought or memory. Join Estrid without drinks. Get drink for Estrid. Get a drink for Estrid. Giving up your seat next to Maidnir and Swafnilde's game, you decide to get a drink for her. The kegs and the crewmate responsible for looking after them are all perched at the Keen Wolf's first mast. You ask for one, and the tender complies without any real conversation. And then you head over the railing, offering Estrid her drink, which she accepts with a look of slight concern. She seems hesitant to drink it at first. And it's only then that you remember one of the last alcoholic drinks she had turned to ashes in front of her. Oh shit, that's right. My bad. Mine turned to blood. And I just had water, so... What, you want to do? Stop drinking water? I'm not going to stop drinking water. It can't be long now. You should relax. It can't be long now. Before we reach Alkenfelsen now. No, not long. We'll be there tomorrow as long as we stay on course. And I will be glad for it. The longer this goes on, the more I feel though something is wrong. I feel like I'm being toyed with. Oliver won't take the threat we face seriously. The hunt for the demon's tooth has turned into a wild goose chase, and we're just stuck here, waiting. There are distractions. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do about it? Nothing, as far as I can see. No, I thought we were going to come up with a plan. That's not what I thought. That's not what I thought. And doesn't that drive you mad? Yes, a little. You aren't used to being stuck on a ship. Maidnir has his back to you, but he inserts himself into the conversation. He swivels himself around awkwardly. You don't realize you're speaking quite loud enough to be overheard. That's all it is, Hetling. It's hard for everyone at first, waiting around for the next thing to happen. It took us all a while to get used to it. I've been here 7 winters, and it still frustrates me sometimes. I'm not sure patience is any Thorwaller's strongest trait. I expect it to be busier. This is different. Can Orlver be convinced? You two have known Orlver for a long time. Do you think he can be convinced to take this threat seriously? Swafnilde chuckles, but Maidnir scratches his face and leans back. He probably can, by the right person, and in the right way. But I'd liken it to hitting a stone wall with an iron axe. I still cannot quite believe it. Is this really the man a village feared so deeply they gave him an entire year's harvest? Maidner laughs loudly, and a wide grin crosses his face. That was well over a decade ago. A lot has changed since then. With a triumphant cry, Swafnil makes one last move in their game and lifts her arms in victory. Well played, Maynir. Well played as always. You know I feel like I was closer this time. Closer? Ha! Well then, You feel the twinge. Just subtly, something that goes unspoken. A hook peeling away, some deep part of your subconscious. No! Saber-toothed cat demon, no! Leaving you to feel as though everyone all across the world can see you. You exchange a worried look with Estrid as your head spins violently. She looks into the mug you gave her and balls up her face up into a grimace before, tipping it upside down. A cloud of ash drops to the deck, billowing back up towards you quickly. Dang! She can't ever get a drink! That's jacked up! Can we not drink water? Can we not drink water? It's gonna always be blood? Is this dude gonna always show up? Man! And you shake your head to try to stop it from reeling. A low rumbling growl erupts in the very back of your mind. Gasps go out across the deck and people point and look into the sky. As the growl warps and claws to become a low, grim chuckle, so clouds seem to twist and form out of nothing above the ship. And with nothing between you and the open sky, the roar of thunder that erupts splits your mind near in two. Undeniable, unrelenting, deeply and terribly familiar. And like an echo to the thud you hear as Swafnil topples, a deafening boom shakes the keen wolf violently. The dizziness is worse this time, and you collapse to your knees as the floor twists and turns beneath you. See, what's crazy is only 3 of them are marked, but everyone around them experiences this. And I wonder if the elf is also experiencing this, or is she just watching them freak out and nothing's happening? Or is it actually happening? This is the guy she saw, Nadim, and it says stranger. I thought it might be her father, but it says stranger. She would recognize if that was like a relative. Through the haze that has struck you, the voice rings so clearly. Your attention snaps toward it, and the rest of your vision blurs. You're left staring at it, utterly impossible form. You try to speak over the second explosion of thunder, overheard. You're the fiend, you aren't real, stay away from me. You aren't real? You cannot be real. You shake your head desperately. You want to feel angry. But as the third crack of thunder makes your ears ring, the form's mouth twists into a cruel smirk. Oh, no. Who is that? He's got a mark on his hand. Is he like, who is that? Is he a mage? Who is that? And you're robbed of all the control you had left. Suddenly all the weight is lifted from your shoulders. You gasp for air and clutch your... Where are we? You grasp your air and clutch your chest as you look around and try to work out what has happened. Around you, life goes on and as always has and always will. You're in one of the gardens of the Pentagram Academy. Students and teachers come and go, talking by the fountain or keeping cool in the shadows of the architecture. Everyone is smiling or relaxed, secure in knowledge, ready. Was it some terrible dream? Is that why deep down you still feel an echo? Did you mind conjure a horrid nightmare of what is about to happen? Can you really make it on your own? Can you become like all those other mages before you? In the corner of your eye, a shadow moves. The skies darken. The weight you felt of that in that nightmare grows and grows and grows. Someone sits on his eyes is yellow. Who is that? I thought maybe she was just like seeing somebody from her past or a family member, but nah, I don't know. I ain't so sure who this is. Someone sits on the beach next to you and chuckles cruelly. The fiend. Oh, so he is the fiend. Do you really think some trinket trophy can save you? The form snaps its head to look at you with glinting golden eyes. It chuckles again, and in the back of your mind, that chuckle rolls out into a rumble that stops you entirely in place. It's far too late for you, Nadim. Your eyes flash open. He a hater. The fiend is a hater. Bro, I don't even know you. You got a problem with me. You got beef with me. I ain't even did nothing to you. You got beef with these people? Go on about your business. God, it's always something out here that's got a problem with somebody. That's always got beef. Everybody's just trying to get by, and here you come. You got the AB, blah, 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 blah. No, bro, get out my face. We're having a good time. You know, we chilling on the boat. Kill his ass. Kill his ass. Kill the demon. I'm on board with killing the Fiend. I don't know why they didn't kill the Fiend. I need to know they had to have had a good reason not to kill the Fiend. Is all I'm saying. They had to have had a good reason. Or maybe they just straight up can't. Like, but that can't be possible. That can't be possible. Your eyes flash open. You're on your back on the cold, wet deck of the Keen Wolf. You're breathing heavily and you're soaked in sweat and seawater. And the inky black sky above you, colorful gems of light flicker and twinkle brightly. A low rumble still echoes and fades away in your ears. And around you, you hear people groan and mumble. Slowly wincing, you pick yourself up, so you're sitting. Everyone seems to have been knocked to the floor by the demon's magic. Is anyone up here hurt? Gunnar races up onto the deck from below, looking around from person to person with wide eyes. No one responds to his call, so he sets about helping people back to their feet. He comes across Darksong, who has curled herself up in a ball and clutches her dagger tightly. When he sticks out his hand to help her, she screams, jumps back, and swings her dagger wildly. She looks around as if she doesn't quite recognize where she is, breathing heavily as she brandishes the weapon. Gunnar, barely escaping being sliced open by her attack, looks at her for a moment with his hands held up high. Then he turns around and looks at the rest of you, still varying states of recovery. Was anyone else marked? Did anyone else hear the howl of the Fiend, or see it in their minds? Maitner and Swafnil each raise their shaking hands, unable to look Gunnar or anyone in the eyes. Gunnar curses, then turns back to look at Darksong a second time. Calmer now, though, she's struggling for breath. She drops her dagger and nods quickly. That was like nothing. The ocean won't help us. It's worse this time. Why now? It's worse this time. It's worse this time. I saw it right before my very eyes, and it was inside my memories. For me as well. One moment I was here, and the next I was... Before another word can be spoken, there's a loud bang as the door to Ulver's quarters bursts open. He finna trip. 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 Oh my god, he finna trip. He storms out on deck, and a look of wild fury on his face. Without a word, he hones in on Estrid, picking her up by the neck before she can get away from him. With a howl, he slams her onto the portside guardwell and bares his teeth as he bends her backwards over it. He only stops when her feet are barely touching the Keen Wolf's desk, so she is suspended over the water dangerously. This is your fault. Nah, bro, we didn't have this problem until you showed up. We didn't have this problem until you showed up. This might be your fault for all we know. All of this is your fault. Tell me why I shouldn't throw you off this ship right now. Tell me. Put her down. This isn't anyone's fault. What are you doing? This isn't anyone's fault, Orville. Enough of you, Outlander. I'll get to you. He focuses back on Estrid, leaning into her with gritted teeth. She scrambles and clutches at his arm with both hands, but otherwise stays silent. You burdened me with this curse in Ilsfell, the creature you used to get to me. And now it's on my ship. My home. Maybe it used you. Pull him back. I'm not gonna say nothing. You aren't sure there's anything you could do that would make the situation better. You just stand in stunned silence instead, still recovering from the attack on your consciousness. Enough! Just as you think Orville might let go, he freezes at the sound of Gunnar's voice. Whose fault this is, if it's anyone's, doesn't matter anymore, Orville. Just exactly what do you think will happen if you kill Hetman Frierdson's daughter? Everyone on deck now stays silent as Orville contemplates the question. With a growl, he wrenches Estrid back above solid ground and drops her like he might his axe. Estrid gives Orville a dark look as she rubs her neck, not moving an inch from the spot he drops her on. Do you see now, my friend? This is why we need the Demon's Tooth. None of you can hide from this. Very slowly, Orville casts his gaze around those crew on deck, staring past every person until he looks at Gunnar. To his credit, Gunnar doesn't wilt. He returns Orville's almost blank stare with one of conviction. This can be beaten, Orville. Orville snarls and grunts as he storms back past Gunnar towards his quarters. He doesn't look at anyone as he goes, keeping his eyes low and fists clenched tightly. Get us to Alkenfelsen. The door slams shut behind him, engulfing the deck once more in a thick stew of quiet. As you look around, you see the elf staring at Orville's door with a strange look on her face. It's as though something has truly captured her attention. At first, you think, since you brought her on board. Wait, it's as though something has truly captured her attention. At first, you think, since you brought her on board. You heard the Hetman. Make ready to sail. None of us are getting any sleep tonight anyway. Gunnar looks at you. and Estrid, Maitnir, and Swafnil before he turns and storms off toward the quarterdeck himself. Around you, the crew slowly gets back to work, but you collapse down to sit against the railing, bereft of energy. In the back of your mind, you're still trying to process everything that has just happened, or trying to forget it. And the only thing that comes to the forefront in your mind is, why are you wet with seawater? It must have drenched the deck while the boat was being rocked by the earthquake-like booms. It's nice and cool, though, and that helps, somehow. You can only hope for the five of you, with Darksong sidelined, that the Demon Tooth does help, too. Because you clearly never wanted to experience anything like that. Not ever again. Real talk. That was intense. That was intense. For no reason. And why was he, like, all in our memories talking shit? Okay, still on the boat. Still this one thing. Island in the storm. Following the warrior's clues, you sail to Alfgensel to find the treasure buried there, but unexpected of the test between you and your prize. Okay. Island in the storm. Oh, it is storming. That's what we did not want. Death trap. That is how Gunnar had described Alkenfelsen not even 2 full days ago. Since then, of course, you have been struck by the fiend overnight. You are tired, drained, and still riled up from Ulvra's outburst. But to make matters worse, only hours later, you have run into a great storm, sweeping in from the northwest. And now you finally set your sights on the Alkenfelsen. Or you would, if not for the tempest of rain, rocks, and seawater the Keen Wolf still has to navigate first. Beneath you, you feel the ship balk up and down and stop your work to find something to hold on to. There's a crash, and a tall wave of water rises above the prow of the ship. You are nearly knocked off your feet as the wave hits you square in the face. You barely keep a grip on the rigging you have been working to secure, which is already soaked through. As soon as the icy cold water has passed, you take a deep breath in and start again. You have to get the rigging secure before the next wave rips the forward mast off completely. Outlander! You hear the call from... Who is this? You hear the call from somewhere behind you, but don't see its source until they turn you around. One of the crewmates who has been on the lookout now stares at you, water dripping from every part of his face. He lifts a heavy arm towards the port side of the ship, and you barely hear his shout over the wind. We're coming up on the rocks. We need another person to help steer away from them. Return to the rigging. Help navigate? You feel the weight of the pressure on your shoulders as you take a moment to decide on the request. You work with the rigging may not be complete, but if the whole ship sinks because you were caught blindsided, that barely matters. Before you start on the next knot, you nod and slowly pick yourself up to go to your new post. You are heavy, drenched to the bone after a relentless battering by the ocean itself. It takes you far too long to reach the appointed position as more water crashes onto the deck with every turn. When you look out over the guardrail, the Keen Wolf is already starting to pass the smaller of the rocks. They stick out of the water like jagged little teeth of some giant sea beast. They are certainly just as ready to destroy you at a moment's notice. And with the Keen Wolf now entering the death trap at quite some speed, you know you have to be on point. Give prompt instructions, give patient instructions. I am a person that likes patient instructions. We're gonna give prompt instructions though. With the first rock the ship might collide with coming up quickly, your mind begins to race inward. On the left, you have to turn against the wind to bellow your instructions toward the quarterdeck at the top of your lungs. It's a painful little moment before any answering bellows come, and another before the ship turns away. Your attention has already turned back ahead of you, where more of the water is revealing itself through the rain and spray. As the Keen Wolf gently lifts rightwards, and you see the next obstacle, a cluster of rocks still in breaching distance of the hull. Right, hard right, quickly! Another nervy moment passes, and another wave crashes down on you, but then your instruction reaches the quarterdeck. Gunnar must spin the wheel with the force that goes into the turn. It takes you by complete surprise, and you barely grab hold of the guardrail before the deck becomes a slope beneath your feet. Oh, are my headphones dying? No headphones. Headphones are dying there. It takes you by complete surprise. The prior to grab hold of the guardrail before the deck becomes a slope beneath your feet. With all the water and grunge thrown onto the deck, your feet slip and slide, and only your grip on the guardrail saves you. Your arms are not that strong, and you're already tired from fighting the storm for so long. You can barely keep a hold. But you manage, and as the ship begins to level once more, you scramble to push yourself upright. Back on your feet, you look over the guardrail again, your head spinning as the work begins again. Hold on! Who is this crewmate? All these different people popping up. Who is this? You can barely make out where the call comes from, or who it belongs to. Only that, before you realize it, the ship is pitching upwards violently as it crashes over a breaking wave. Before you can be knocked onto your back, you take as tight a hold on the guardrail as you can once more. Still, you feel the weight of the world pushing down on you as the ship tips and tips and tips, and crashes back into the ocean with a mighty roar that sends the water shooting up high in the air. You can do nothing but bawl. This red flash on the screen scared me. Are we hurt? Are we dying? You can do nothing but bawl your... Oh, this came out. I needed to charge. You can do nothing but bawl your eyes shut and squeeze your grip tighter as the giant wave collapses around you. The water surges past, threatening to sweep you off your feet completely as a cry goes out all across the ship. In short succession, you feel the rush of cold, the power of the blast, and the wet of the aftermath. And then, as quickly as it hit, it's over. Once again, you fight to catch your breath as you shake the water from your eyes. It's still draining from your waterlogged clothes as you look around. Some of the crew are still in a state of shock, but seem fine. Some have already got back to work. One that you can see is pinned to the starboard side guardrail by a long, heavy wooden beam. His arm is caught beneath it. His arm is caught underneath it so that he can't wrench it free. Oh, these are the random crewmates. Hard to starboard, full turn. You see it playing out before your eyes, the ship banking hard to the right and anyone without a solid grip being swept overboard. There are mere moments to avert disaster. Edge towards the raiders, stay where you are. We're finna use our magic, that's what we got the magic for! That's what we got the magic for! With a semi-startling realization, you remember that you don't have to lose your own grip to help him. You stare relentlessly into the flotsam, for that is what you think it is, and focus on the Motoricus formula. The beam is some way off, but you don't let that dishearten you. It's close enough. I must be close enough. The spell will work. You will the beam to lift and immediately free the resistance in your mind from the weight of it. But it does move, an inch, and an inch more, just enough for the raider to wrestle his arm free. You immediately let the spell go, gasping for breath, as you wait to see whether your gambit works. Just as the turn reaches its apex, the raider finds a hold of the guardrail and grips it tight. Water crashes down on the top of him, shifting the flotsam free, and sending it flying back overboard again. But when the water has washed away and the keen wolf begins to level out once more, the raider is still there, breathing heavily. You can't help but grin as relief and joy washes over you, much like the waves had. And then it strikes you. The world is calm and quiet around you. Hold! Drop the anchor stone! The fact that you can hear Gunnar's cry takes you by complete surprise. The rain spits lighter than it did before, and the wind has died down almost completely. In the sky, the clouds are still gray and heavy, but the storm has just stopped. Indeed, yards away in the distance, you think you see the ocean still lashing away at more distant rocks. But for the keen wolf, everything has become eerily serene. Still very much feeling the shock of everything, you slowly pick yourself back onto your feet. You help your crewmate up too. He is looking around in as much confusion as you do. Thank you, Outlander. You saved my life. I hope you do the same. It was nothing. I feel like saying I hope you do the same is kind of like, it's kind of bitchy, so I don't want to say that. It was nothing. It was nothing. He laughs and shakes his head, wiping his face down and looking at the water still raining off his clothes. You risked your life for me, Outlander. That's not nothing. Is everything alright? Still here? Gunnar's call comes from behind you, towards the quarterdeck. Turning, you see both he and Maidner walking towards the center of the ship, beckoning you towards them. They're followed by a very wet and miserable Estrid who had been managing the aft sail rigging. Did you do this, Maidner? Why have we stopped? What would Maidner? Why have we stopped? Why have we stopped? I don't know why we're blaming Maidner for anything. Why have we stopped? Look for yourself, Outlander. We can go no further by ship. Gunner indicates toward the prow of the ship, and you take your first proper look out north. Still a little way off in the distance, but close enough to the tower well... Words! Let me have some water. Still a little way off in the distance, but close enough to tower well over your head is the Alkenfelsen. It is really little more than a multitude of sheer rock faces, stretching yards and yards into the sky like a spire. You see no beach and no cave mouth or any kind of entrance, and a veritable labyrinth of rocks tightly packed together in the ocean between you and it. We could not even fit a scooter through there. No, indeed. To my memory, there is... Oh, this thing keeps popping out and scaring the crap out of me. No, indeed. To my memory, there is a beach on the northern shore, but high tide will have flooded it. The northern shore would not do anyway. In the journal, it is written that the tooth lies in a cave system to the south. We will have to dive and try to find it amongst the chaos. This is madness. What are we looking for? You're coming with us? You coming with us? You're coming with us, Maiden? Oh, yes. I wouldn't miss the opportunity for the world. I read that sentence. Oh, God. My reading is terrible today. He looks at you and Esther enthusiastically and flashes you an excited grin. I will leave you to it, and make sure we are ready to leave as soon as you return. Godspeed with all of you. Now, I can try to make the way easier for us. Help us breathe underwater or light the way for you. But it will remain difficult, and we will need different spells later. Who knows what we'll find inside the Alkenfelsen. Give us some light. Allow us to breathe. Allow us to breathe? I'd much rather not struggle to breathe if the way is going to be long. It will relieve some of the pressure. Very well. Stand very still. One after the other, Maitner holds a gentle hand to each of your chests in what is quite clearly not a guild spell. You don't feel any sign of the spell taking hold when he releases you again. In fact, you feel no different at all, and look worriedly at Maitner as he casts the spell on himself too. I fear it won't be much of help after this, but we shall see. You will notice it when you take a breath underwater. It will seem strange at first, but don't panic. Let us go. Maitner scurries over the port side guardrail, hopping up onto it and beckoning for you to follow. Esther seems a little skeptical, but slowly does so, bounding up onto the guardrail much easier than Maitner. You come last, being very careful as you clamber up onto the railing. The water beneath you is dark and foamy, and you have no way of knowing for certain how deep it actually is. Well, there's no use waiting around. This is a no for me. This is a no for me. Like, I mean, they trust him because they know him, but I don't know him like that, and it seemed kind of weird. We finna breathe underwater? And then I didn't pick light because, I don't know, my brain went, I don't have flashlights. Of course they don't have flashlights. Before you can reply, Maitner leaps off the railing so that he enters the water hands first, clutching his staff tightly. You try to put aside every reservation you think and feel as you ball your eyes shut. Take a deep breath and follow suit. You barely have time to recognize the feeling of falling before you crash into the water, and your heart starts racing again. The first few heartbeats are a blind rush of sheer terror. The water is icy cold. You felt it when the waves were crashing over you in the storm too, but in short bursts it was easily forgotten. Now it is a constant bite at every inch of your skin as you struggle to find yourself in the water. Dark Song's not coming with us? Your clothes feel far heavier, pulling at your shoulders and your legs to drag you further into the depths. Your instinct is to shut your eyes, but you fight it desperately, waiting for the bubbles and froth to clear. But you only find that it is unimaginably dark. The roots of the rocks around you are just about visible, blots of black against incredibly dark blue. In that same instant, you start to adjust and your thoughts begin to clear. You really don't have a moment to lose, you remind yourself, and your mind snaps into action. Putting all your faith in Maitner and his spell, you breathe in deep. You feel panic reeling again as your lungs fill with water that chills you to the core. Immediately, you choke the water back up, wanting to push and climb towards the surface as quickly as you can. But as the water flows into your lungs again, making you shiver and repulse, the unnatural feeling begins to fade. You calm yourself as you realize the spell Maitner has cast makes water no different from air. That is so cool. Scary. I would not volunteer for this. I would not volunteer for this at all. I would not. Are you crazy? No. No way. No. Oh my god. No. It It is really, truly, bitingly cold, but you can breathe, at least for as long as Maitner's spell lasts. We don't even know how long it lasts. Y'all better hurry. And so, you start looking around for the wise old mage. You quickly put to rest any hope of finding him as you try to orient yourself. Instead, you look upwards and use the great hulk of Keen Wolf's underbelly as your guide. There's a muted splash somewhere behind you. Estrid, you hope, diving into the water after you. I thought she went first. You don't turn to check, you simply swim. The further you swim, the more relieved you are that you had Maitner cast his spell. After the first few moments of unnatural tension, breathing becomes second nature once again. Even the cold on the inside of your chest, one of the strangest things you have ever felt, starts to fade a little. That allows you to keep all of your focus on swimming forwards, wherever forwards is. It is so difficult to see anything except shadows upon shadows upon shadows. Onwards you swim. The rocks go deep into the water. You can't see the seabed, so the shadows just disappear into the darkness. Some of the rocks aren't tall enough even to reach you, and lie menacingly beneath you like a spike trap. The rest turn your path into a maze. Okay, so maybe Dark Song can't swim. I'm just thinking while I'm reading. The rest turn your path into a maze that twists and turns in front of you, making it oh so easy to get lost. Ever so slowly, you start to wonder, just how long will Maitner's spell last? With every beat of your heart, you feel more and more nerves creep into the back of your mind. This is taking far too long. Still, you push forwards, stroke after stroke, your eyes flicking about for any sign of a hole in the landscape. And then you feel a tug on your right foot, and your next stroke fails to push you any further through the water. Your mind immediately begins to race as quickly as your heart, and you twist around to see what has snagged you. You were so set on finding your way that you didn't see the weeds crawling around the dark rocks beneath you. Now your foot is caught in a tangle of long, eel-like leaves that you know straight away won't be escaped easily. You become that much more aware of how long you might have before Maitner's spell fades. But when that happens, your time will be cut significantly shorter. You have to move. You have to move now. Twist your foot free. Cut yourself free. Cut yourself free? You might actually scream if you could. Every part of you wants to. As you drag yourself back towards the floor so that you can free your foot, your mind and heart still race. Even with Maitner's spell, in the panic of the moment, it feels as though you are struggling for breath. Taking your dagger from your belt feels like an eternity, but you can use it to cut the weeds until you're free. And then you have to swim again, against the sheer, overwhelming darkness that the surface of the ocean has become. Only then can you continue on your way, not even sure if you're heading in the right direction anymore. Onwards you swim. You don't care that you are alone, you don't care about anything. The adrenaline takes you, helping you to forget that ever more pressing strain on your lungs, and the baffling quiet. You know you must have reached some kind of right place when you suddenly see the seabed rise up in front of you. Out of nowhere, what was a murky blue-black bruise on the background suddenly becomes a rock face. As you get closer and closer, you see that it stretches out for yards and yards in either direction in front of you, and the wall is pocketed with gaps and caverns and waterways. Most are so small that you would never fit through them. 3 of them that you can see are large enough to be cave entrances, maybe you think. You need only to find the one that leads to air. Swim to the first cavern, swim to the second cavern, swim to the third cavern. I mean, is the first one the closest one? But you can only guess. With a small expulsion of air that escapes from your mouth, a cluster of tiny bubbles, you swim for the first cavern. You don't know how long you've been down here anymore, or how you have even managed to make it so far. But now your body is telling you it's time to breathe. You are sure that Maitner's spell is holding, and another deep breath in would give you enough time. But not when it's a lung full of water, and your heart is only racing faster and faster as you go. And you feel almost crushing sense of joy as nothing blocks your path toward the entrance. I'm reading so fast, oh my gosh. The landscape forces your path upwards and upwards, closer and closer to the surface. With every stroke, you become more and more sure. To your absolute overwhelming relief, despite all the odds, you have found the cave entrance. You take a deep breath in as you breach the surface of the water. You are certain you have never appreciated. So Maitner is in the water doing this too, is what you're telling me. He said he was coming too. Like, I know it's me, and I know it's Estrid. I don't think, over. I don't think he came. Dark Song, I don't think came. Like, I don't have a good picture. Gunnar didn't come. And if Gunnar didn't come, I know O didn't come. Oh my, this, I'm trying to keep my headphones charged. They keep unplug it. I don't think this is the right cord that goes with them. Oh, let's see. You're certain you have never appreciated fresh air as much as you do right now. Come on, Outlander, towards my voice. Oh, how did you make it? When you have blinked the water from your eyes, you thrust your body into the final push through the water. Then your hands touch solid ground once again, and Maidner offers you a hand to pull you out of the water. You lie on the ground for a while, waiting for your breathing to steady and for your head to stop pounding. At some point, there's another crash, and you hear a loud gasp as Estrid finally finds her way to you too. A moment later, she collapses on her knees next to you, doubling over as she retches and coughs. That was the worst idea anyone has ever had. Hell yes. Say that. Say that. The dim don't always be saying that stuff. But Estrid, she know. She know. I'm giving up on these headphones. I'm giving up. Not quite what I had in mind, I'll admit. Maitner sounds exhausted too, and he rests again against a rock now that all three of you are safe. This gonna be his last winter. After this gonna be has to be his last winter. Cause ain't no way that man is, oh, look how he leaning on the stick. Ain't no way he swam under that and was breathing water. It's his last winter, for sure. 100. That is his last winter. Are you both alright? Are you alright, Maidner? I'll be just fine. I just need a moment. I'm fine, I think. We have to do that again. Are we in the right place? Can we have some light? We have to do that again? I'm not sure I can do that again on the way back. At least then we can head straight for the surface. That will make it easier. If you hear some shuffling and then hear Maitner sigh heavily, I am already very tired, but I think I can still light our way. We must hope, though, that nothing else requires my magic. Do it. Save your magic. Save your magic. Then save your magic. I get the feeling this is far from over yet. Slowly but surely, you can start to pick yourself up again. From what you can tell, you are standing in the mouth of a very wide but low cavern. Everywhere you look, there are sharp rocks rising in front of you or hanging from the roof, growing from the walls. The floor of the cavern is flooded with water, though it probably doesn't come up higher than your shins. Much more than that, you can't see at all. Everything eventually disappears into a murky black that reminds you of the depths you've just escaped. Your mind wanders to think about how many ships, how many people never made it as far as you have. We should go. We don't have time to waste. The three of you wade back into the water now, heading away from the mouth of the cavern. I'm gonna save. Three of you wade back into the water, now heading away from the mouth of the cavern. You pick your way through the water and around the rocks. Maitner in front, you in the middle, Estrid behind. Without any light and still exhausted from the journey, the way is slow and difficult. Maitner eventually finds a tunnel out of the cavern, which bends around and upwards again. It opens up into a much smaller cavern where the floor is once again above water. Your attention is caught when a little way into the cavern, you stumble upon the remains of a small camp. So this is definitely the right cave. Like, that's what I was like, yeah, we made it to a cave, but is this the correct cave? Aside from your breathing, there's no sound, no sign of anyone other than the three of you. But you see rotting barrels, no doubt pulled up from the water to be used as seats around a burned-out pit. An abandoned water-ruined bedroll and a small sack that lies empty with a hole through it. Someone else made it. Be ready. Are they still here? Are they still here? Because do you think they're still in the cavern somewhere? I mean, could they survive? I mean, because if people crash here, like, and if there's any survivors, like, how long would they really survive here? It looks abandoned. Estrid picks up the bedroll and takes a closer look at it. Whoever it was, I don't think they are here now. This camp is old. Perhaps we should use it ourselves? We cannot make a fire, but we can at least catch our breaths. Just a little while. Just a few moments where it is relatively dry and quiet. And so the three of you spend some small amount of time quietly gathering yourselves again. As time passes, it becomes apparent that you need a little more rest than your companions. Oh, so that took a little bit... No. Did that take a little bit of... I don't know. I don't remember. I have to look when I'm editing. I have to remember, because something up here moved. I know I used some magic, but I don't know if the health is just from, like, I couldn't breathe. I wasn't paying attention. You're the weakest swimmer of the group, it seems, and expended more effort on the voyage. When Maitner is back on his feet, he immediately begins to wander about the cavern to explore it further. When you hear him shifting about the place, leaning on his staff and using it to knock things out of the way, then there is a sharp gasp. Look here, I've found something. When you and Estrid reach him, you find he has stumbled upon a very curious sight indeed. Someone, probably the same someone who set up camp, has used a flat surface on the cavern wall to draw. The whole space it taken up by the crude map etched out on the rock face with charcoal. They were exploring the place, though it doesn't look like they got very far. Start remembering it. This isn't much help. I mean, there's an X on it. This isn't much help. What does Fedra say? Start remembering it. Start remembering as many details as you can, I suppose. Your eyes flick across the roughly drawn paths and caverns that are described on the map. There's no detail to what each may contain, but at least the way is a little clearer. Fedra wrote that they hid the tooth in a wide and high cavern, which this is definitely not. Perhaps one of these spaces here? Maitner uses his staff to point at the strokes to the top right of the map. It's too vague, but they would be deep in the caves, as she describes it. It's a start. Come, we have rested long enough. Remember what you can, and let's go. Move on. That's the only choice I have. I hope I don't have to. I hope I don't have to remember this. I'm not gonna remember this. Remember what you can and move. She talking about them in the game. I hope she's not talking to me because I'm not gonna remember this. Is this X where the tooth is or where we are? I'm not gonna remember that. Ain't no directions. Move on. I'm not gonna remember that. What was that flash? It looked like a flash of white. Am I crazy? Did I see that? When you have taken in as much information from the map as you can, you trudge on after the others. The path quickly leads down back into the water. It is easy to imagine that the way is not always flooded, but with the storm, the water has to escape somewhere. You soon come upon a part of the tunnel that forks out in two different paths. With the map still fresh in your memory, you know you must take the path to the right. That leads through a very closed-off space where you must all squeeze between rocks at many angles to get through. But after some time, it opens into another cavernous space. After you have taken a few moments to look around, you can recognize that it is a crossroads of sort. You saw it on the map, and you remember that there are a couple of different ways to go from here. You got a photographic memory, because ain't no way. You are treading carefully through the water when a shadow flits across your vision. Okay, so I did see something. Even in the dark gray of the world, you see it cut across your vision in flat, matte black, but it is gone quickly as it appeared. But it makes you stop, and makes you bring the others to a stop too. They both look at you curiously for a moment, but then a voice calls out of the darkness. What have we here? Thorwallers, and a stranger. It is not often others step into my domain. Oh, hell nah. Hell nah, you go in this cave and it's a dude in there. You done went through all this, ain't no way. Unless this cave go up the land somewhere. Ain't no way. Who are you? What do you want? What have you come here? Where have you come from? Where are you going? Where do you come from? Where do you go? Where do you go? Cotton Nacho. What is it that you want from this place? The voice speaks quickly and from every different direction, so it sounds like it's bouncing off the cavern walls. Estrid has drawn her sword before the end of the first sentence, while you and Maitner both stand on edge. But silence quickly falls again, with no evidence that the source of the voice remains. Show yourself. We don't want trouble. I mean, saying we don't want trouble don't ever work. And then we gotta be careful telling people who we are. You know, I don't know if that's a good idea. Because I used to think, oh, just tell them who you are, explain yourself. You know, we don't want no trouble. Show yourself. You need to show yourself. Show yourself, please. I'm not going to show myself. Why would I do that? What does it matter? What do you want? Once again, the voice bounces off every surface of the place, coming at you from every direction, one moment to the next. Once again, it leaves an eerie and echoing silence in its wake. You glance at Estrid, who still has her sword raised and looks at the ceiling carefully. And then you glance at Maitner, who catches your gaze and shrugs before glancing around again. You're about to respond once more when the voice screeches in your ears once again. Fine, then. Your head instinctively turns to whichever direction the voice comes from, turning you around and around again. Struggle and suffer, climb and fall, burn and drown. Try to take your prize away. I welcome it. I learn from it. I always do. Learn the prize, learn the price. With every step, with every heart. Ain't nobody got time for these riddles and shit. Ain't nobody got time for these riddles. This is a cave troll? A cave troll in here or something? Ain't nobody got time for these riddles. With every step, with every heartbeat, always learning, learning, learning. Always laughing, smiling, fun. I wonder how it will end for you. End. It will. It always does. Bah! As the voice cackles and flits around the ceiling, you see another shadow appear and disappear in the corner of your eye. The silence falls again, and you all wait to see whether the voice will rise out of it once more. When moments pass with only the sound of dripping water and your own breathing, you think it safe. Whatever that was, I do not think it is friendly, and I do not think we ought to stay here long. It was an elf. Some dark magical creature of some kind. I guarantee we will not come through this place without encountering again. An elf. Okay, so what is his beef? He just in there messing with people? Keep an eye and ear out. It is very dangerous. It knows this place. It knows this place? It sounded like it knows this place far better than we do. We can't let it lead us into traps. You've barely taken a step forward before you realize the first trap has already been sprung. You have been so turned around by the creature that you're no longer sure which way is which. Damn. Even with the map in mind, you have no choice but to pick a direction and hope that you can at least use it to reorient yourself. Go forwards, go left, go right. Go forwards, I guess. I don't know. Slowly and carefully, you press on towards the passage before you, now on the lookout for your skittish host. After not very long at all, you start to feel as though you're going the wrong way. At first, you aren't certain that things look familiar actually are, and so you tentatively keep going. But then, you find the abandoned camp again. You realize that you've gone the exact opposite way back. It's fine, you tell yourself, as you turn around and head back the way you came. The creature cost you time, but at least hasn't put you in any grave danger. Yet. Back at the crossroads with the map in mind, you know for certain going straight on now is a dead end. That leads you to choose between left or right. Go left? We just going down the list because I do not know. I did not memorize that map. You all try to keep as calm and as quiet as you can and start your way into the cave system with the path to the left. The path, less a tunnel and more one big cavern, climbs upwards gradually and soon leads you to a sharp bend. You're soon faced with another choice, only made difficult because both ways are so nondescript. Continue onwards, go left, consult companions. You discuss between the three of you what might be the best before making a decision. If my memory of the map serves, there is not much to be gained by turning left here. It may even lead to that warning on the map, though I can't be sure. If Maidner's right, then it led elsewhere too, but it was not the shortest right. Okay, if Maidner's right, then it led elsewhere too, but it was not the shortest route. Continue onwards? I don't know. Heeding the advice of your companions, you lead the party onwards and upwards. You don't realize for long that you have stumbled into a much bigger cavern that any of you have been so far. You can feel that the walls and ceiling are not so close as before, but it takes some exploration to get a real sense of it. I'm lost. I'm not even there, and I'm lost. Estric comes from a great pillar of rock that runs from floor to shadowy ceiling and jagged and uneven strokes. In a short time, you've established that the space is indeed a great spacious cavern. Can we be at the cavern the journal described already? It seems too soon, I think. Over here, the tunnels branch out in many directions again. I think we have some way to go yet. We can search. We can search for a little while. Perhaps the tooth is among the small trinkets that lay about the place. The tooth. Oh, I know this treasure. The tooth. The tooth. The tooth. Here he go. He finna confuse us again. This time there is no advance warning. The voice in the darkness screeches across the entire cavern, giggling to itself, with no hint of where it might come from. You should visit the sprawling tunnels. Perhaps it's there. Perhaps it's not. Who knows? You don't. Do not listen to it. It will only try to lead us astray. The voice laughs and giggles at Maitner's words, each heartbeat changing direction. One thing is certain. It's not here. You must keep looking, yes? Search and search and search until you cannot search anymore. Am I leading you astray now? With one last laugh, the voice disappears, just like that, leaving you all looking at the ceiling. A few moments pass, as you look this way and that, trying to work out whether it really is gone. Then Estrid turns to you and shakes her head. I do not know whether we should abandon the search before we begin. We should try. We should try at least, on the off chance it is trying to throw us off because we are close. Very well, Outlander. Each assigning yourselves a different part of the cavern, you turn the place upside down in your search. You have no idea how much time passes as you look behind every rock for every trinket you can find. Some are very deliberately buried, some are thrown away, some are lost. None looking anything remotely like a saber tooth, not even close. By the time Estrid says you have to move on, you're tired, sore, and beginning to lose faith. But the creature's job is done, and you have wasted more of what little time you have. You're certainly spoiled for choice when it comes to how you move forward from the cavern. You can explore the way that seems to sprawl out from you, slightly downhill and almost completely dark. There is a way up to a ledge, too, where it looks over the cavern and might lead to a different way out. Finally, the cavern continues onward straight ahead, too, though it quickly begins to climb the further ahead it goes. Explore climbing path, explore sprawling tunnels, explore overlook. I don't know. He said maybe we should explore let's do the sprawling tunnels. A little apprehensively, you continue onwards and then into the sprawling tunnels. The tunnels twist this way and that way, turning in on themselves and stretching out around every which way. You are certain that you must have been turned around and hope that you have not lost too much time. Eventually, though, you do come to a new crossing. You emerge to a cavern that looks as though it's bending in yet another new direction in front of you. Here, Estrid slows and looks around at the different ways forward. She gives both of you and Maitnir a grave look as she thinks. I do not like this at all, Outlander. I think we have come the wrong way. We should turn back and try a different way out of that large cavern we were in before. Maitnir? What do you think, Maitnir? As I've said already, Outlander, I do not think there is much to be gained here. We should turn back. You're right. You give it some more careful thought as you wait upon the options, try and keep the map in mind. Eventually, you have to concede that you're not certain enough to be sure you're going the right way. Without another word about it, you turn back to the way you came. Coming back to the cavern, you realize you have far fewer options than before, which is probably a good thing. You don't want to risk getting lost in the sprawling tunnels again, or ending up back at the beginning of the maze. That leaves you with one with the narrow tunnel at the very end of the cavern, or the ledge that looks over the whole place. I feel like if we look over the whole place, will that give us a better view of what's going on? Aware of how tired you already are and how much further you might still have to go, you take to the overlook. It is not an easy climb up a natural staircase of small hexagonal columns, all fused together at different heights. You wish that you had asked Maitnir to light the way for you. The cavern is probably quite the sight at this level. The rocks here that elsewhere have been slippery and cold to the touch are dry and bare. The ground underfoot is harder too. You're carefully edging forwards, focused on the shadows of the rocks, when you suddenly feel something. A tension against your leg, as if you have walked onto a rope that was pulled taut in front of you. You barely have the chance to look down before you hear something snap and the tension vanishes. Immediately in front of you there is a roar as the way forward becomes a wall of flame that has you booby trap! That has you staggering backward. A lick of fire catches your arm before you leap backwards. As quickly as look at all my health. As quickly as you can, you put the fire on your arm out, though you feel that the damage is already done. Estrid staggers back as she is caught by the blast too. As you both make absolutely certain that you are not still on fire, Maitnir looks cautiously at the trap. Someone must have set this. It cannot be a natural trap. Whether to protect something or simply block the way, I do not know. I'm gonna use my magic. As the fire dies down just a little, so that it's merely burning as opposed to roaring, you think. Air is not the most effective counter element to fire, but the power and range of Orcanfaxius should do the trick. You focus your aim, such as it is, on the floor at the very base of the fire, hoping to choke the air out of the flames at the source. The jet of the air that shoots from your fingers splits the fire in two so that it opens up like a curtain before you. It must be a second rope that still burns, but has weak enough flames to be broken by your spell. Smart thinking, Outlander. Come, there is just enough space to get through, but be careful, there may be other traps. Carefully, you follow him through the space between the now pair of burning ropes. The tunnel that you find yourself is long, really long. There are natural dips and rises in the terrain, but gradually you are going downhill, back towards the waterline. Soon you have lost all sense of time as the path twists around ahead of you. Finally, the tunnel opens into a wider space again. Though the air is still, you feel as though you have some room to breathe again. Estrid, though, seems perplexed as she looks around about the place with her hands on her hips. I'm worried about our options from here. If I'm right, y'all worried about everything. Okay, but y'all didn't memorize the map. Y'all not really helping. Y'all just sound like y'all complaining at this point. I don't want to be in this cave either. I'm wet and cold and hungry. I'm tired. I done got burned. If I'm right, then that will take us back to the very beginning of this maze. And of course, we've come from that way. It leaves only one path left that we can take. Some double and triple checking between the three of you quickly concludes that she's right. And so you head for the only path away from this place that you have yet to take. It is a long, steady path upwards. The rocks become even more difficult to clamber over as the path becomes a slope. It isn't steep, but it's a constant climb. Soon you're once again struggling for breath as you go. You and Estrid must help Maitner up some of the spaces where footholds are hard to find. It only really gets easier once the path begins to level out again. But even then, the way remains very narrow. Slowly and steadily you go picking your way through the rocks. You wonder how far up you are now. That is, until you blink, scowl, and rub your eyes and blink again. Is that a light I see ahead of us? Or am I finally getting too old? Two things can be true. Well, two things can be true, Maitner. As Estrid chuckles at your teasing remark, Maitner prods you harmlessly with the bottom of his staff. You'll wish you're still doing things like this at my age, both of you. Now, we should be careful. I think I know where we are. You pick your way through the rocks towards the light, buoyed on by its presence. Your optimism doesn't last long, though. A few feet before you reach the light source, you have some idea about the new obstacle you now face. Your tunnel, it turns out, is a hole in the side of a great shaft that drops many feet below where you stand. Beneath you is a pool of dark water and still water, difficult to know how deep it is from the angle you look upon it. Turning your eyes upwards, you are a little overwhelmed to see the sky still dark and gray, but good to see all the same. It bathes the chamber in light as three of you huddle together on the edge of your high entrance. See how this place is shaped? Not as worn away by the water, but as if something punctured the rock. When I was very young, Scalds told the story of how a star fell on the Alkenfelsen from the sky. The heart of the Alkenfelsen, they called it. It has never been found. Very carefully, Maitner leans out to take a better look at the sky and then the pool. The weather is holding for now. If we get our business done quickly, I would like to come back to this place. Maybe we can succeed where others have failed. There's no way down. I don't see a way down other than jumping. I don't think any of us could climb a rock this year. It is far too dangerous to jump from this height. We have no way to know how shallow that pool might be. The map showed 3 tunnels away from this place. I only see 2. Look there. Estrid points out a tunnel similar to yours, just a few feet further down the shaft, but on the opposite side. Even that is probably too high to safely jump. The other tunnel must be below the water. When rain falls, the cavern fills and the water spills over out into the tunnels, back down towards the lower caverns. Remarkable, but of course, it has happened since those markings were drawn. Let's jump. Let's go back. Can you cast again? Can you cast again? So that we can breathe underwater? I don't have the energy for a spell like that now, Outlander. Not without sleep. I'm quite spent. We can't jump, though. Let's go back. We're not finna jump. Very well, then. Let's go back and find another way around. This isn't worth the risk. Maitner looks a little disappointed, but after another look down into the pool, sighs and nods. Slowly and carefully you turn and head single file back the way you came. Eventually you arrive back at the junction that took you to the pool and trudge across to find the final path away. The tunnel dips and rises naturally, but you can feel... What are they talking about, jumping into the water that we just said we don't know how deep it is? I don't know. The tunnel dips and rises naturally, but you can feel that you are slowly and steadily climbing. It twists around to the right, and you think you hear the sound of running water somewhere beneath you. It is too dark to say for sure, but this feels bone dry. Even the rocks that elsewhere have been slippery and cold to the touch are bare. It is very easy to lose all sense of time in this place. Once the path was leveled out, it seems to go on forever. It does bend again eventually, though no markers and no map right in front of you. It is difficult to say for sure where you might be. You're relieved when the tunnel eventually opens up into a cavern again. Actually, not a cavern. On a second glance, an overlook. A few yards below you, there is a cavern, it looks like, but you are on a ledge high over it. You are carefully edging forwards, focused on the shadows of the rocks, when you suddenly feel something. A tension against your leg, as if you have walked into a rope that was pulled taut in front of you. Come on, them! Quit walking into them! You barely have the chance to look down before you hear something snap and the tension vanishes. Immediately in front of you, there is a roar of... How do we walk into a wall of fire for a second time? That has you staggering back. A lick of fire catches your arm before you can leap backwards. Damn, I'm finna die. I'm finna die in this cave. I'm finna die in this cave. As quickly as you can, you put the fire out on your arm and you feel it, the damage is already done. Esther staggers back. We've already gone through this. As both of you absolutely certain that you are not still on fire, I'm cautious. Someone must have let this. It can't be a natural trap. Whether to protest something, look, I don't know. As the fire dies down just a little, you begin to realize you are left with very little choice. You focus and aim on the floor. We have to put the fire out again? And splits that. Whoa, that took so much. It must be a second rope that's still. Okay, I'm getting annoyed now. We're just going in circles. And I don't have any real clues to know which way I'm going. To be broken by your spell. Smart thinking, Outlander. Come. There's just enough space to get through, but careful, there might be other traps. Carefully you fall through the space of the now burning ropes. Come back to the cavern, you realize there are fewer options, which is probably a good thing. Having tried so many patches already, you're beginning to get despondent now. You're tired, your clothes, waterlogged, but at the very least, you're starting to make your heads of tails of where you are and you needed to go. There's only one path, narrow tunnel that leads upward. The slope is becoming steep enough that something... I'm ready to get there now. As you still, it's subtle at first, but it grows louder until you can't hear it. It's a song, hummed, harsh and discomforting and difficult to... I'm like rushing through this because like this cave is annoying me. It's a song, hummed, harsh and discomforting and difficult to listen to. The melody of it reminds you of the first instance of Dark Song's music, but each and every note is sour, the opposite of what it should be, pitchy and stinging in your ear. Ah, our elf friend once again. No doubt there is magic in this music. Don't cover your ears. We must be getting close. Closer to it. I hope we reach the tooth before we reach the creature. Stay on guard. The cave system seems to be endless now. There are 3 exits to this place that you find, with the music droning on and on and on in your head. A narrow tunnel that leads away to the right, and another that seems to go on in the same direction. But to the left, the way opens to a massive wide open space, a true and real cave. Like, I don't have any real clues to make these choices. These choices are just random. And now I don't have health and I don't have magic. I'm gonna explore the cave. I'm tired of going in, like, tunnels. There is every chance this cave could be the one you need, the one described in the journal. With the music still playing in your ears, you make your way over and then into it. The 3 of you explore every inch of the place, wading through the water to look behind every nook and cranny. Esther even ducks underneath the water once or twice to see if the tooth might be beneath it. When some time has passed without avail, they trudge back to the mouth. Oh my god, where's this fucking tooth? At least there is one place you don't need to search again. Explore the tunnel ahead. With the music still grating on your mind, you make the way back. Because what I'm worried about is that I'm going to die and then I'm going to have to do this all over. And it's not going to be in this recording because it's already over an hour. And I thought I would have gotten to where I needed to by now. With the music still grating on your mind and making your way back towards the main tunnel, the path only continues for a little while before it seems to join up with another. For a few heartbreaking moments, you begin to think you have turned around and aren't where you thought you were at all. But then Estrid finds it. A gap in the cavern wall away from where the forked paths come together. The humming only gets louder and you step through it, more and more intense until it makes your teeth itch. Your teeth itching? What? But the cavern just keeps opening up. Wider and wider it becomes until you step into a massive space that must be dozens of yards in every direction. This is it. It must be. Before you can respond, the humming stops and you all freeze. The humming stops, but the melody continues on in your mind. Well done, well done, well done, my little human friends. You didn't die. You didn't drown. You made it all the way here. So now I know what it is you want. Only one question remains. What price are you willing to pay for it? The voice falls quiet again, though the echoes ring off of the rocks in the cavern. I don't have time to deal with this little whatever the hell he called. I don't have time to deal with him. I want to get out this fucking cave, and I hope I don't have to find my way back. The voice falls quiet once again, though the echoes of it ring off the rocks of the cavern for a few moments longer. The three of you all look around for any signs of where it has come from as you move forwards. Somewhere deep inside your mind, you still hear that vicious humming. It makes you want to cast a spell at the first thing that moves just to make it stop. Speak! All three of you jump at the suddenness and ferocity of the voice in the darkness. It is, somehow, clear to you that you won't get any further without some kind of interaction with the creature. Maintenance shakes his head when you look at him, warning you off the idea. Estrid is once again completely focused on trying to spot any sign of the creature. It's down to you. What price? What do you mean? What price are we willing to pay? There is always a price. Few are willing to pay it, but then few are as desperate as you. A playful chuckle ripples across the chamber that you all try to follow, but only leads into darkness. It isn't lost on you that the voice is a lot calmer than it was before, now that you are doing what the creature wants. It is still a stretched, scratched, raspy voice, but it is far from more tolerable like this. What plays on your mind is that you are desperate. You've already come so far for the Demon's Tooth. You broke Thorwallian laws. The Fiend has tormented you across the ocean. Someone almost died. When you think about it, you truly properly think about it, you probably must pay whatever price this creature presents. Do you have the tooth? Do you even have the tooth to be able to bargain for it? Everything in this place is mine. Lost, stolen, or hidden. If you try to take a prize from this place, you must always go through me. Or turn back, or die trying. What is this price then? What exactly do you want from us? There is another ripple of playful laughter and another pause. One of you must make a choice. It will not be an easy choice, but without it, you will never leave this place with the Demon's Tooth. If you make the choice, the tooth will be yours. Only the tooth. Try not to take anything else from this place, and you will suffer. Try to go back on the word of our deal, and you shall suffer. Is that understood? What is the choice? You still haven't told us what this choice is. What do we have to choose? Not we. Only one must make the choice. Only one is bound to it. First, you must decide who that will be. All three of you look at each other. It's not as if you'll all expect to jump at the opportunity. You all know that putting your name forward for a choice or a deal you know nothing about is an incredibly bad idea. Yeah, I'm not gonna do shit. I'm not gonna do shit, bro. You better come up with something else, because it ain't this. It ain't this. I'm hoping he's not saying one of you have to stay. That's what I'm scared of. If he says one of us has to stay here, nah. Time out. I'm not gonna stay here, bro. But you all know too that between such a choice and the Fiend, there are simply no good options. It is more as though you are all waiting for the others to come up with some impossible way out of the bind. Esha begins to pace around. She rubs her eyes for a few moments and then looks at the ceiling and shakes her head. If we don't do this, the Fiend will kill us, and then others, and then rampage all across of Thorwall once again. I can't allow that. I just can't. My mind tells me that this is a bad choice, but in my heart, it's one I know I must make. For my people. Would they do the same? I'm being petty. Do you honestly believe any of them would do the same for you, Estrid? Don't do this just because you owe them such a sacrifice. Estrid snaps around to look at you, an angry tear forming in her eye. Not here, Outlander, not now. She growls at you through gritted teeth, but then takes a sharp breath in and shakes her head. This is the right thing to do, whether anyone sees it or not. Now she calls out loudly, looking around for any side of the creature with which she will make her pact. I will bargain for the Demon's Tooth, creature. Name your price. Interesting. Your choice is simple, Thorwaller. I am stuck here, and I must feed, and your power will serve me nicely. Let me feed and leave here forever weaker, or off after an astonishing long moment of thought, a fiendish laugh comes from out of the darkness. Or when the master calls, do exactly what is asked of you. Choose one of these things, and we'll call our deal complete. In front of you, you see Estrid's head droop, and then shake as she lets out a laugh. That is some choice. Do not think for a moment that I don't see what you are doing. Any debt I owe, this master will no doubt be worse than being weaker the rest of my life. The voice lets out another fiendish giggle. Is that so, Thorwaller? How will those around you fare if you are too weak to help them in your quest? Estrid lets out a frustrated and bitterly amused laugh. You wait with as much patience as you can muster while she makes her choice. Fine. I will answer your master's call when it comes. When the next blink When next you blink, an object has appeared at Estrid's feet. Long boned, white, slightly curved, not like any dagger you have ever seen. On second glance, there is no mistaking it. A saber tooth snapped. Well, I mean, okay, so if she don't answer the master's call, then what? Then what? You know, like, what are you gonna do? He gonna bring her back here? He gonna magic her here? I don't know. I don't know if I should have, like, went instead or not, but, you know, what's done is done. A saber tooth snapped and then filed away at the Ruth, protruding instead from a golden-colored cap. You and Maitner watch as Estrid carefully scoops the artifact up. She looks as though she doesn't quite believe it's real as she turns it around in her hands. This shit better work. This shit better work. It's such a small thing you have fought so hard to collect. Try to take anything else from this place and you will suffer. Attempt to escape your debt to the master and you will suffer. Now go. Out of the cavern away you came, left and straight onto the lake. Leave this place from there. Leave this place and never return. Leave this place, leave this place. A moment passes and then you find yourself looking around the ceiling again. You can feel the lack of its presence in the chambers, like something terrible has suddenly vanished. Estrid is still turning the demon's tooth in her hand, looking at the detail of it. Come, we should make haste. Estrid is still another few instants before she nods and tucks the tooth away beneath her leathers. You've done it! Finally! After much trial and tribulation, the demon's tooth has finally been retrieved, but the words of the voice in the darkness still ring in your memory and leave you to wonder. At what cost? The three of you are all quiet as you follow the voice's directions with a vague memory of the map in mind. There is no doubt in your mind that the others are sharing exactly the same thoughts as you. Was the demon's tooth worth the cost? You wonder if Estrid feels any differently to when she first entered that final cavern. Whatever the case, all you want to do now is get out of the caverns and leave the Alkenfelsen behind you. Which is why you find yourself groaning when Naitmir stops you short. What do you think? One last venture to find the heart of the Alkenfelsen? I think you are mad to even consider staying here, given what just happened. Maitner quickly looks at you. He's close enough that you can just about make up the cheeky daring grin across his face. No, Maitner, we can't. This island has already taken enough out of us. It just isn't worth the risk to our lives, now that we finally got the tooth. We have to make this journey worth it. The entire time you talk, Maitner becomes more and more disheartened. He nods along, but you can sense that he is disappointed. Alright, I understand, Outlander, I understand. It is a shame such an opportunity should slip- I have no health, bro, I'm sorry. It is a shame such an opportunity should slip away from us. He straightens up and clears his throat. You both go ahead, wait for me by the lake. I at least want to have a proper look around before we go. With that, he hobbles away again, leaving the two of you to continue your way onward towards the lake. When you get there, Estrid almost immediately slumps down to lean against the wall. In the pale darkness of the caves, it's hard to read her expression, but the uncomfortable quiet is far more telling. Are you alright? For a long moment, she doesn't respond, and simply crossing her arms and looking at the floor, you think. Eventually, she lets out a single short, frustrated breath through her nose. I'll be fine, Outlander. After a little while, less than an hour, definitely but long enough to make you impatient, Maitner returns. He's empty-handed and grumbles about needing more help to get what he's looking for. He remains glum and out of sorts, but ready to finally leave Alkenfelsen behind. One last time, you prepare yourselves to dive into the lake and back out to the rocky labyrinth you came from. This time, the plan is to swim straight up first, so that you can at least approach the Keen Wolf from the surface. For the first time since starting on your voyage, it is beginning to feel like a real steep step has been made. A small step, but a step nonetheless. You only wish that you left without any doubt as to what happens next. Hunting the fiend instead of it hunting you. Yes, maybe, you hope. But you can't help but feel that pact Estrid made will leave dark mark on the rest of your voyage. And the doubt toys with you, tapping gently at your mind all the way back to the Keen Wolf. What if it wasn't worth it? Like, really, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know if I should have, like, sacrificed myself for that. I don't know nothing about this. I'm not even y'all people. I'm good. Alright. Made it back. Got all my magic back. Got a little bit of health back. Not a whole lot of health. Gonna end it here. That playthrough lasted a little bit longer than I wanted to. And I was a bit tired. I kind of sped. That cave system part took a lot out of me. That was making me mad. I can't do no cave system. I'm not gonna memorize no map. But I'm glad we finally got the Demon's Tooth. It seems like we're actually making progress. Jumping back in Wolves in the Westwind today. Don't ask me where we let off. I can't remember. So let's get into it. Yeah. Continue the game. Oh, that's right. We went through those terrible, terrible caves. And I got a little heated, I'm not gonna lie. But we got the bone, the tooth. We got something. We got something. Look at my health. My health is only 11 out of 18. I have all my magic back, though. Alright. When you return from the Alkenfelsen with the Demon's Tooth, the Fiend attacks the Keen Wolf once again, and a terrible truth is learned. Fatal Flaw. Okay, that's right. Okay, yeah. Fatal Flaw. I got spots on my glasses. Hold on. An interruption to the silence scratches at your ears as you sit in silent existential pondering. Okay. What are we pondering about? We having a crisis. You still cannot quite believe it. All of a sudden, everything is so different, and you're still not entirely sure you understand why. As the sound comes on stronger, you become distracted and shake yourself out of your thoughts. You aren't sure where it is coming from, but there is music playing somewhere. It's a strange music, strangely familiar and yet impossibly different from anything you have heard before. It echoes through your mind with an otherworldly power, a melody of peace and tranquility, but one that is inherently sad and lonely. It seems strangely fitting for how different your life now suddenly is. It makes you feel a little bitter, if you're honest with yourself. Nadim. Okay, so this is supposed to be, like, the beast or whatever, right? Because, like, when they showed him, his eyes was all crazy. He's got a mark on his hand. Is that the mage mark? I don't know. I don't trust this figure. At first I thought maybe it was like a family member that she was having visions of, but now I'm not so sure. We about to find out, though. You blink and suddenly... Almost died. Almost choked on my spit. You blink and suddenly he is standing in front of you, looking down at you with a grave expression. It all comes flooding back then. Everything that happened. Everything that took you to Thorol, to Eilsifsfell, and to the Keen Wolf. This isn't real. Why me? What are you? What are you? What are you really? Because you are not him. I never had a conversation with him here. The grave expression holds for a moment, but then it is as if he can no longer keep a straight face. See, he be looking like that sometimes. His eyes flash gold and a cruel smile crosses his face, and then he sighs and sits down next to you. I invite you to sit, sir. Your skin immediately begins to crawl, and all you want to do is run as far away as you possibly can. But you can't. You are frozen to the spot, not even able to turn away so that you can't see that horrible visage. I am discontent. The Fiend. That's what they call him. Why I keep saying the beast? The Fiend. That is what all of this is, isn't it, Nadim? You glance up as the air of the atrium is filled with low rolling thunder. Your head pounds as the thunder spills out into a deep, disembodied chuckle that shakes you to your very core. This is your discontent. But you knew that already, didn't you? In an instant, the shade is gone, and any pretense you might have that is real is gone with it. A hole in the world opens up in front of you, right before your eyes. A tear in space and time that pulls itself wider and wider until you can see through it like a window. And then there he is again, standing as if before you and shaking his head with a look of disappointment on his face. Who is this girl? Please tell us. I'm sorry, Nadim. I am. We can no longer keep attempting to do the same thing over and over again. It would be madness. You shudder and swallow down the feeling of pain and anger that is growing in your mind. Please don't do this. Wake up, Nadim. It wasn't like that. So I'm assuming this has something to do with her not finishing Baby Mage School. So she didn't finish Baby Mage School, and she felt some kind of way about it around surrounding about why she left or how she left or whatever happened. You know, she's discontented, I guess. But, I'm not sure what the best answer for this is. Please don't do this. Wake up, Nadim. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that? It probably wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. You shake your head, even as a tear rolled down your cheek. He did what he had to do. Oh, is that right? Or is that you do not want to or is it that you don't want to accept the truth? Very well. There's other distractions to blunder through. As quickly as the tear before you open, now it knits itself closed again, snapping shut and making you jump. Around you hear cries and pounding feet that don't belong in this peaceful communal garden. And then there are more tears everywhere you look. Each peers into a different reality, and each fills your heart with sorrow. Estrid standing in her father's hall with her arms crossed, looking as disappointed, as hurt as you've ever seen her. Maitnir sitting alone in his quarters, looking despondently at the journal on his desk, destitute and rejected. Swafnhild screaming in an unfathomable rage at something you cannot see, swinging punches left and right. Darksong, you think, though not as you know her. Her skin is molted and pale gray. Her face is gaunt and covered in 1,000 tiny scars. Her eyes, for all their harrowing intensity, are also empty and dead and hopeless. Choose carefully, Nadim. Which of them will you destroy next? Help Estrid, help Darksong, help the others. I don't know everybody like I know Estrid. I don't know everybody. I just met Darksong, and I don't know what her story is. She already said, hey, don't worry about me, I got me, so I'm gonna leave it at that. And others, you know, we just met them 2 days ago, right? 2-3 days ago. It's been a couple weeks. We've been on the boat. It's probably been about a week or something. I'm gonna help Estrid. Like I said earlier, like, I got her back, she got my back, I'm gonna help Estrid. Ignoring the taunting voice ringing in your ears, you look deep into the tear through which you see Estrid. And just like that, you're inside Hetman Fjorin's hall once again. Your ears immediately tune to the sound of a heated conversation some way away. You're not too far away from the big double doors, and voices are coming from near the Hetman's table. Brand, and Ulfgar stand at the head table, arguing back and forth. By your side, Estrid watches them too, failing to hide her emotions as well as you are used to. She is visibly hurting at whatever her father and his advisor are discussing. Listen in, it's not real, what are they discussing? Let's listen in. You look back to the conversation at the other end of the hall, focusing more on what is actually being said. You have always shown a great deal of patience towards Estrid, Hetman. She appreciates that, but sooner or later she will have to realize that she is making it harder on herself. The people want their Hetwoman to know them, understand them, work with them, not to disagree on the basic foundations upon which we live. They don't like change. They don't like change. You know, change is how we progress, though. Change is how we progress. Or else, you know, we will get stuck and, you know, disintegrate into oblivion. We have to change. We have to progress. Come on. We know this. I know that too, Brand, but what will it mean coming from me? She must learn herself, as she has done everything else. Estrid chuckles and fails to stop a disbelieving smile crossing her face. It is always the same. There is only one right way to be a Thorwailer. You can't believe that, then find a compromise, then who needs them? Find a compromise? Then find a compromise. There is always one. Find a way to prove you are a good leader without changing who you are. You can't let other people hold you back like that. Fresh tears come to her eyes as she looks at the floor in shame and anger. We know other people are different to us, and that is accepted. But the Thorwallers have always trusted their leaders because they think like Thorwallers. Because they are Thorwallers. I keep saying Wallers, but I'm pretty sure it's Whalers, Thorwhalers. I don't know, you know I in that. Thorwallers? Because they are Thorwallers too. You are about to reply when all around you hear an echo of shouting voices and running footsteps. The hall is empty now, but the noise only grows into a thunderous rumbling that starts to shake the walls. It reverberates through you until it is scraping against the inside of your mind, making your head pound. You groan and growl, bawling your eyes shut as you try to fight back against it. But that just makes your head spin, and you crash to your knees as the world shakes and falls around you. In a snap, your head is clear once more, and for the briefest of brief moments, you think you might be free. But then when you open your eyes, some new chaos has surrounded you. Shouting voices, burning fires, Thorwalian raiders everywhere you look. You feel sharp pain in both your legs, which stop you from getting to your feet again. Worse than that, as you look at your lap, you see that your hands are bound together by thick rope. Okay, I'm not trying to be a part of whatever they got going on in Estrid Brain. I'm not trying to be a part of that. The small crowd is laughing and jeering, while further away, other warriors run around going about their raid. But as you look over the crowd in a wild panic, a familiar face makes its way through the raiders towards you. Oliver, carrying his terrible axe, brushes past those closest to you, looking down at you with a look of complete disdain. What's happening? Help me up, Oliver. Is this still a dream? What's is this part of the dream? What's going on? I'm confused. We were doing Estrid. Is this like just some history that they know about him, or are we like just jumping from person to person on the boat? Your words are raspy, and speaking just even a little makes your throat very sore. You don't even recognize the voice that escapes your throat. You don't even recognize the voice that escapes your throat. Orlva ignores you, glancing back towards the crowd and then at you again quickly. He doesn't seem to be able to stand still. Back and forth he paces, tapping his fingers against the handle of his axe over and over and over again. His eyes are dark, full of some half-formed plan of malcontent, and the way he's looking at you makes you think you are at the center of it. Help me. What is this, Orlva? What we got on? What we going on? I don't like this dream. This dream, it seemed like somebody might be trying to body me. I don't know if this is like a premonition to something that's going to happen, or maybe this is just like what he thinking being manifested into some kind of, I don't know. I don't like this dream. Can we go on and end this? What is this, Orlva? What's happening? The corner of his lips twitch and twist into a snarl as he looks at you again. It's not disdain on his face anymore, but darkening determination, as if he's psyching himself up for something. Then through the crowd breaks Gunnar, racing after his friend and raiding partner. Oliver. His voice is cracked as well. Then smoke from all the fire is destroying all of your throats. Nor Oliver, not like this. Oliver barely glances at him as the rest of the crowd jeer and shout Oliver's name. He grits his teeth and taps his fingers on the axe handle again, still pacing back and forth. And then, all of a sudden, he stops and looks at you once more. The sky is thick and black with smoke and ash, but somewhere above you hear thunder starting to bumble up. They will fear me. Okay, chill. Who gonna fear you? Like, I ain't have no beef with you. I just met you. I I ain't got no beef with you. What's going on? What's happening? Your attention snaps back to Orlva as he starts stalking towards you menacingly. They will. With a flash of phantom pain that washes over your whole body, your eyes snap open and you gasp for air. He a little insecure. Oh, a little insecure. I'm gathering that he ain't the man he used to be, and he feeling some type of way about it. And he's wanting to avoid this mission altogether because he's like, man, I ain't got it like that no more. And I'm assuming at some point on this journey, I don't know if his masculinity or his, I don't know, something about bro gonna be challenged. Something about him is gonna be challenged, and he might snap. But killing our foreign traveler that ain't got nothing to do with this is not gonna be the look. That's not the move, bro. You scramble up, scraping a hand across the wooden plank deck of the Keen Wolf as you stand. Someone crashes into you in an instant, knocking you back to the floor. Your head stings as you smack it against the deck. What is happening? Where are you? Why is your face slick with sweat and salt water? A flash of lightning lights up the sky and thunder roars in your ears, and it all comes tumbling back, traveling back towards the Gulf of Prem. You've been hit by another big storm out of the northwest. You were in the middle of securing the lifelines when you felt the now familiar pang in your chest. You hadn't even heard the first roar of magical thunder underneath the natural ferocity of the very real storm. Look for Orlva, look for Estrid. I'm gonna look for Orlva, because is he doing something? Is he doing something crazy? Now remembering the very last images of the nightmare the Fiend visited upon you, you look around for Orlva. You aren't sure whether it is out of fear or anger or frustration, perhaps it is all three, but something compels you to make sure you're safe before you do anything else. However much of what you saw was real, whatever the Fiend was trying to do to you, you are sure. The Fiend also might just be trying to sow a little doubt, because that's what they always say, is that he drives everyone crazy. And so I'm wondering if he's just trying to sow a little bit of doubt. Like, you better watch your back, girl. You better watch your back. He crazy. Watch yourself. Something feels off about the Hetman now. But unsurprising to you, after some time on the Keen Wolf now, he is nowhere to be seen to answer for it. You look up as you hear thunder begin to rumble above you. There's not even a hint of lightning to precede it. The Fiend is still coming. You need the Demon's Tooth. You squint through the rain and darkness to make out the shape of Estrid by the stairs to the quarterdeck. Use the tooth. Will it even work? Use the tooth. We gonna try it. Let's be confident. Use the tooth. We need to use the tooth. Your words are immediately lost to the wind, and you have no idea whether Estrid hears you. But a moment later, she collapses to her knees again, scrambling around at her belt for the artifact. This time, you hear it properly, rolling towards you from the northeast, roaring and howling like thunder. And Estrid thrusts the demon's tooth in that direction, holding it lightly and shouting through gritted teeth. Back! Get back, fiend! We hold in our hands the only weapon capable of destroying you. Man, this better work, because if this don't work, this is going to be, like, embarrassing. If this don't work, it's going to be so embarrassing. You just standing out there hollering in the rain with a whole animal tooth that ain't got nothing to do with this fiend. We will use it, have no doubt. We are coming for you. The thunder cracks across the sky, and your head spins as a hole opens deep in your chest. I'm sorry? The sound rolls into bellowing, joyous, and unimaginable cruel laughter that makes it hurt to think. I did ask you, do you really think some trinket trophy can save you? Oh, he done showed up on deck. Wow, he really about it. He's not scared of us at all. I am shook. Like, whew. He really came down here and talked to us. Look at him. He really came down here. You say you think I'm scared of that little tooth y'all found in that cave? You snap to look towards the voice, which comes from directly behind you. It rings clear and true, as if the speaker is directly next to you, and as there was no storm at all. Gleaming with the pale, sickly light in the darkness, the shade from your memory stands quite calmly. The crew that run around in their attempts to steer the ship ignore it completely, but it only seems to have eyes for you anyway. It is already far too late for that. You and your friends are already doomed. I don't like how you talking to us. I don't like how you talking to us. What? Estrid looks down at the artifact desperately, as if begging it to show her how it should be used. When you look to where the fiend was standing, it has once again vanished, leaving you to drown in the rain. Another glance back at Estrid tells you that she is out of ideas, clueless on how to use the tooth. If it can be used at all. Maybe, just maybe, painfully and against every wish you can make, the fiend isn't actually lying. No one sleeps. No one can. The storm does not let up until morning, and when the sun rises, the clouds are still dark. Those not marked by the fiend are focused completely on making sure the Keen Wolf survives. Some minor repairs have to be made, the sails are damaged, and the rudder is broken. Thankfully, no one was lost to the storm, but morale is low, nonetheless. Those who are marked by the fiend all feel it in its entirety, even after hours have passed. Not only are you physically tired, but you feel as though your soul has been ripped out of your body. You don't wish to speak or be spoken to. Like, stay out my face. I got this dude with glowing eyes who keeps showing up and talking smack. I'm trying to figure that out. I got this tooth that don't work. You don't even wish to be seen, though you know there is no escaping it. And every time you look northwards across the Gulf of Prim, you are overwhelmed by a subtle, gnawing dread. All you want to do is put as much water between you and that feeling as you possibly can. It is categorically the worst you have ever felt. Spite and anger at what the fiend showed you is in its attack that you have not had time to process yet. That uneasiness that has not let up. Not really, at least, since you embarked on your dangerous quest. You find yourself asking whether it's all worth it. Whether it's not just easier to run. Most of all, you know Estrid must be silently fuming at the promise she made. Now some dark master has a grip on her to use at any point. And when she needed it, the demon's tooth didn't even seem to work. In fact, the demonid seemed to rip straight through any defense it might have offered, stronger than even before. Once the storm had passed, you and Estrid once more found yourself with no work to do. On this occasion, you get the sense it has little to do with how much work is actually available. From the dark looks of your fellow crewmates, you think it's more likely they want as little to do with you as possible. Yeah, because we cursed. We got the mark on us. They don't want nothing to do with us. And that's fair, to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and act like I wouldn't be out here scared as hell on this boat with these people on the boat with me. There's a whole dude with glowing eyes just walking around the ship, making invisible lightning and thunder and stuff happening. And y'all out here screaming with a tooth at it and it won't go away. I would be skeptical. I would be a little bit livid that I am on this journey with them. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. Instead, you lean on the guardrail at the front of the ship, looking out eastwards toward the southern Thorwell coast. Neither of you can find it within your hearts to actually say anything. That is, until there was a loud commotion from the stairs behind you. George leads a great number of the crew up onto the deck, almost all of them actually. They spill out around you in a large crowd, talking amongst themselves and giving you dirty looks. Swafnell and Maidner make their way through the crowd towards you. They both look as tired as you feel, and neither of their moods have improved since you last saw them. I am too tired for this. Is there a problem? What is happening? I am too tired for this. They acting like we are also not a part of the, like the problem. Like, we just brought it here. Like, this isn't happening to us. I am too tired for something like this at the moment. We have little choice, I'm afraid, Outlander. We might have been the targets of last night's attack, but the rest of the Ajutsko was affected too. They want answers. Alright, they just got some questions. They ain't trying to round us up. They just got some questions. I can answer some questions. I can understand that. That's fair. I can't really blame them. We need to start thinking about how to put an end to this. Gunnar walks down from the quarterdeck, exchanging quiet but stern words with George. George? You see Darksong there too, leaning on the quarterdeck railing and not following Gunnar down the stairs. She seems content to stay above, away from the action, to watch from a safe distance. It isn't long before it becomes more than just milling about. It is George that walks through the crowd to knock loudly on Oliver's door. Oliver, get out here. Calmly, George, I told you. Calmly. Gunnar looks tense and nervous, staring George down as the raider paces outside Orville's door. Alright. They about to bump heads. For sure, they're about to bump heads. The rest of the crew got quiet, too. Whether it is to see whether Oliver will emerge, or in the expectation that he won't. Some time passes with no reply from the quarters, so George walks back up to the door and slams at his fist against it. I wonder if his discontent, has something to do with, like, his crew not fearing him, maybe? Or maybe just, like, the general populace not fearing him, and that's why he hides away. Be a case study, I'm curious. Wolver, we need... He's cut off as the door swings open with so much force that George almost falls inside. O looks down on him with his usual stony expression from the darkness of his room. Except it isn't quite the usual stony expression. It's clear that Oliver hasn't slept properly for several days and may well have barely eaten. As he steps out onto deck, barely so much as looking at George, he pushes past him. You can tell. He has the same heavy look in his eyes that you've seen on Estrid, and now Maidner and Swafnil too. This is a very haunted man. What's the meaning of this? His voice is raspy too, raspier than usual. He is not looking after himself. We need to talk, O. This fiend that chases you has attacked the Keen Wolf twice now, and quickly too. Last night it robbed us of aid we should have been able to use. He sweeps an accusatory finger across you and those that stand next to you. 4 of the Ajutsko taken by some dark magic while the ship was nearly destroyed in the storm. And the elf. We risk our honor letting them get away with what they did in Haljingsor. Now we've risked our lives too, at the Elfkinsel and crossing back into the Gulf of Prim. All for the treasure that didn't work against the monster. The fiend surprised us. We don't know that. There are complications. These are all terrible answers. Saying the fiend surprised y'all, yeah, that's a true fact, but it admits some defeat. We don't want. I don't know if I want to admit the defeat in front of these people because they're sensitive. Saying we don't know that, also a true statement. Also admitting a little bit of defeat. Like, we don't know shit. We don't know nothing. We grasping at straws. Work with us. And there are complications. That's admitting that, yeah, stuff ain't going as planned. We know that and understand that. We working on it. I don't think there are complications. There are complications. There are complications attached to the Demon's Tooth. As you speak up, Overgers, the entire crew now on deck turns to face you. Perhaps it is the fairy's magic that stops the tooth from working. Perhaps next time someone else should wield it. I will not stake this Ajutsko survival on such uncertainty, Outlander. George quickly turns back to O, who stands on the opposite side of the crowd to you, with his fingers tapping his arm. You are a hetman, Oliver. It's time you gave us some direction. What do we do? Orville says nothing, sweeping his eyes over his people as he considers George's question. Quietly, he pads over the ship's port side, looking north over the Gulf and the islands of the Oyster Stones. Eventually, the silence is too much to bear. It will just get worse. We aren't ready. Oh, these answers! It will just get worse. We aren't ready. I mean, it's probably going to get worse. And no, we aren't ready. But, like... I mean, should we be telling them that? I'm gonna say it's just gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse, y'all. Prepare. If we do nothing, this will just get worse, Oliver. Okay. That's a good answer. Good. Let's just attack. We need help. Attack with what? What are we gonna do? Throw the tooth at him next time he show up? It's not gonna work. We need some help. We need help from someone who understands the demon's tooth better than we do. A blessed one. No. Okay, why are you scared of the blessed one, though? You don't know nothing about this. I don't know nothing about this. We need a third party. Why are you scared of the blessed one, though? The ferocity of his shout makes several of the closer crew members jump, and next to you, you hear Maidner sigh. How many times must I say no to this? I'm not sure why you say no to it at all. Even through her restraint, you can hear the frustration creeping into Esther's voice. Once more, quiet falls on the deck, and all eyes look to Orville for answers. He's completely unperturbed by this, looking quite calmly, as far as you can tell, out into the oceans, because he's used to this. He's used to disappointing the crew. Long moments pass before he turns to Gunnar. Supplies. Gunnar looks at him for a moment longer before he glances at George and back again. Enough to make the coast to the east with the relative ease, and to make it to the Gulf if we ration. Okay, I see what he's asking. But if another storm hits and we are blown off that course, we will have to sail west again for more supplies. Well then, it seems clear. We must stay clear of the storms until we find supplies. A little bit of a whisper goes up from the crew at that. A few heavy breaths and sighs, even small groans. Oliver now turns to Swafnil, who has been waiting patiently with her arms crossed. You were told we may well have to raid on our return from Haljingsor. Are we ready? Of course we are. Then that is what we'll do. Sail for Nostria. Oliver starts to make his way back to his quarters, only stopping when he sees that the crew has not moved at all. George stood watching Oliver closely, his hands clenched tightly together. You're running. Ooh, he finna call him out. It's gonna be a fight. Who gonna win? Who gonna win? I'm not gonna lie. I don't think George can hold his own against O. Even if O is kind of like busted and he ain't really been in the field. George, he ain't finna win that fight. Oliver stopped short in front of George, looking down at him with the darkest of expressions once again. You see his fingers twitch before he clenches his fist tight. You finna throw a punch? You finna throw a punch? Throw a punch! I'm putting my Upshiscope before some wild goose chase for a creature that can end us with or without the demon's tooth. That's valid. That's valid. It cannot beat us to Nostria if we don't stop on the way. There we will get some more supplies, make sure we are ready to fight, let loose a little. Then we can head north, and our glorious hunters over there can waste their time and their lives to their heart's content. Is that to your satisfaction, George? You aren't the only one to notice that Oliver puts the onus on you to find the Fiend. But everyone is so taken by Oliver's sudden anger and threat that no one dares bring it up. George spends a few more moments sizing himself up against Orville before he nods and turns away. Yeah, because you can't win that fight. The crowd follows him, and as soon as there is a clear path, Orville growls and powers away to his quarters. The rest of you, Estrid, Maitner, and Swafnil, all stay where you are as the crowd disperses. Darkson even makes her way towards you from the quarterdeck, now that there aren't too many people in the way. Part of you is glad that you aren't racing just towards almost certain death. Part of you is glad to be sailing further away from the threat you don't wish to face. The rest of you is filled with that same subtly building dread. I hate this. Is anyone else glad? Was this a mistake? Is anyone else glad? Is anyone else glad? Even if you don't think you should be? Maidner. A little. Yes. You note that Estrid doesn't reply and turn to find her completely lost in thought. When she sees that you are waiting on her, she blinks and quickly turns away to look at the sea. She shakes her head and tightens her grip on the railway, stifling a sigh, a bad sign from Estrid. That man will be the doom of us all. None of you respond. None of you can. but you know you aren't the only one with a growing suspicion that she's right. Yeah, because he not in the shit. Y'all will all mark together. It seems like you're probably gonna have to overcome this together. But he the odd man out. It's always got to be one. It's always got to be one that's not a team player. Oh, that was the end of Act 2. I always stop recording like right before the end of like the act. All right, we finished Act 2. I'm gonna end this video here because at this point in time I have not edited or uploaded the rest of Act 2, and I was considering putting it all in one video, which if you're watching this, it is all in one video. I just want to put it in one video. I got all this footage that I haven't edited. I've got hours of it, and I just don't want to make a bunch of little videos. I'm gonna put it all in one video, all Act 2. And then we'll come back to Act 3. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new here, and as always, thanks for stopping by. Bye!